With equipment breakdown coverage from American Family Insurance, you can protect all the things that keep your dream home running, from sudden mechanical or electrical issues. Because this sound shouldn't mean... Contact your local agent or visit amfam.com to learn more. American Family Insurance. Insure carefully. Dream fearlessly.
Refer to policy for equipment breakdown covered losses, deductible limitations, and exclusions. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin. Products not available in every state.
The following is a Hoop Ball presentation.
Hello, and welcome to the Hoop Ball DFS Today podcast. I am your host, Mike Patra, joined by the one and only Keith Cork, here to break down this fantastic Wednesday card for you guys. It's April 21st. We got 12 games of action, fully loaded slate. We couldn't get more games on here if we wanted, Keith. I mean, they did. I think we had a 14-game one time. I think it was about last. I don't know when it was. There was a 14-game one time. But Keith, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing well, man. A lot better than last week. I appreciate you holding it down without me. But yeah, man, 12 games. I get a nice, juicy, big slate to come back to. I'm excited, man. Definitely.
Yeah, it makes up for it. Just double whammy. It's like you got the week off, so here's 12 for you. No, I missed you, man. It's always fun when I get to log on here and I'm doing a podcast with you. Just flows nice and smooth, and I got someone that is just coming prepared with the knowledge. I always take something away every single time we do a show together, and that's what I love. It's no matter how many rocks I could overturn, you're turning over different rocks, man. You're looking in different spots, different places, and we're looking at it now. You're sweating it, the prop bet king. So if you're ever feeling those 8+ assist prop bets, I'm leaning your way. But we'll jump into this just after I give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsor, MyBookie. We talk about them left and right, guys, and if you haven't checked them out, you're probably just missing out on free money because MyBookie is the number one sportsbook out there, the only sportsbook that I trust, and it's simple. You head over to MyBookie, you sign up, use that promo code HOOPBALL, HOOPBALL, and they will match your deposit 50% on up to $1,000. So you can put in $1,000, they will give you $500 for free. You could spend that any way you'd like, whether it is betting on some NBA, some MLB, whatever it may be. You could do some parlay action, or you can head over to the fully fledged casino platform, play some table games, play some slots, whatever it is that you love to do at MyBookie. Don't forget to use that promo code when you sign up. It is HOOPBALL, HOOPBALL. All right, my good friend. I feel like no better way to start a slate than to begin with your team. The Chicago Bulls traveling to Cleveland, taking on the Cavs here. Troy Brown Jr. is doubtful. Zach LaVine ruled out, while on the Cavs side, Damian Johnson, Dylan Windler both ruled out. We actually have a game total, 213. Chicago favored by 2 points in this one. So, Keith, we'll lead with the away team, and I'll pass it over to you. Talk about your bullies.
Yeah, man, this is definitely an enticing matchup here. I think that game total is 211.5 is what I got here. It's a little low, I think. I mean, both these teams are definitely capable of scoring. I do like Kobe White at 5,600. No Zach LaVine. I mean, he's just been very much more involved in the offense, and he's just been playing a lot better recently. I know he's been really looking to distribute the rock as well. So as long as he's contributing in more than one way, I think he's a pretty safe play at 5,600, to be honest, for the outsized role he's going to have on the offensive end. I also like Daniel Tice at 3,800. This dude's just been getting more minutes with the Bulls. He's been playing really well, getting close to that 30-minute mark. So he's getting about 28, 29 minutes a game. And he's another guy that contributes in multiple ways. He grabs boards, he scores, he shoots threes. I mean, the Bulls really like him. They love to start him right now, and I think he's going to really stick in that starting lineup and get pretty solid minutes. So 3,800 is a pretty great price tag for that. And then the last guy I'll add here is Garrett Temple at 3,300. There's some other value plays a little bit later on. We'll talk about that a little bit more excited about. But Garrett Temple, since he's come back, he's also creeping back up to that 30-minute mark without any Zach LaVine playing. So 3,300, and this guy can give you 30 DK points. I'm there for it. I think there's some really solid value here on the Bulls side.
I think we could just keep going. You said it perfectly. Those are the three guys I had mentioned and starred. don't mind ever looking at Vucevic, but we have, I think it's like 7 guys priced over 10K available or at that 10K mark or more to divvy up and decide between who push comes to shove. I don't think Vooch, he's not going to probably make the cut for me. As good as he is, but I'm with you. I think Tice at 3,800, rock solid play. We always talk about there's always plenty of center value, but he's definitely a rock solid option knowing he's starting power forward. Cleveland plays big. It's going to be Nance. It's going to be Allen. It's going to be Love. It's going to be Allen. Whatever the combination may be, they're going to need some size. So Tice should be locked in. I think we're going to see him break that 30-minute mark in this game. All right, we'll slide over to the Cleveland side of the ball. Looking over here, I mean, targeting your Bulls team, backcourt, I guess it has to get a little bit weaker. Does it get stronger? Kobe White gets inserted, but you take out Levine. Levine's not really necessarily a fantastic defender, but we know Kobe White's pretty bad. But where does Temple rate?
Yeah, I think adding Temple actually, because the Bulls were really good that last game against the Boston Celtics on the defensive side. Even Jason Tatum said something in the post game about it. They were really solid. Obviously, I watched the whole game as intently as I could because it's a Bulls game, and I always do. And I think Garrett Temple is a big part of that. He's a great perimeter defender, but I'll still definitely roll it with Colin Sexton at 7,400 and Darius Garland at 6,800. A little bit more excited about Darius Garland at 6,800. This dude's just been killing it. He's gotten, I think it was the last 8 games he hasn't scored less than 32 DK points, and Bulls again, they're not the best defensive team, and that one game's a fluke in my opinion. So I'll definitely roll it there at 6,800. I also take some Jarrett Allen at 7,300. Vooch had a real tough time moving that guy in the post, man. That guy last time they played, that guy has some strength that you really wouldn't believe. So I like him playing this defense here, and if they're going to go to Vooch a lot in this game, then he's going to rack up some blocks and some boards most likely. So I don't mind rolling some Jarrett Allen 7,300. Not my favorite play, but I think it's still a solid play.
Yeah, I don't mind taking stabs at these guys. They're basically kind of more like off plays for me. Not guys that are going to be like the first guys I'm looking to put in my lineup. If I land on one of them, I wouldn't be upset. It's a fantastic matchup. Overall, we have 12 games, so I if any of them stand out to me as like a tournament play, like you said, I like Garland. I would maybe take a stab at a guy like Larry Nance Jr. I just don't see a lot of ownership going his way. He's averaging 35 DK points in 2 matchups against his team this season. One of those games had Kevin Love, but nonetheless, he's still a good option. We know that they're going to play a little bit bigger as well. And like you said, if they do decide to go with the Vooch attack and Jarrett Allen, it's either going to end one of 2 ways, with Jarrett Allen getting a lot of blocks or Jarrett Allen getting in foul trouble. And if it happens to be foul trouble, we'll probably see a little bit more of a guy like Larry Nance Jr. as well. But again, more or less tournament plays for me. Ready to move on to the next game?
Yes, sir.
All right. Golden State Warriors traveling to Washington, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. For Golden State, Damian Lee is questionable. Eric Paschall, Klay Thompson, Juan Toscano-Anderson, James Wiseman all rolled out. For the Wizards, Rui Hachimura, Thomas Bryant rolled out. No game total, no spread for this one. Oh, I lied. We got one. 240.5. I always lie at least once with the game totals. It's because I just assume it 90% of the time that there's not one. And occasionally there's 240.5 game total. I think we knew that this one was going to be pretty up there. Golden State being favored by 2.5 points. So we're getting some star-studded action in here. You're going to have to make some decisions. I think this is going to be a very, very popular game. A lot of people are going to probably pay up for a couple people in it. But let me get your take on it, Keith. We'll start with the Warriors. Talk to me.
Yeah, on the Warriors side of the ball, I mean, really, I'll keep it pretty simple. I like Steph Curry at 10-5, and that's really it. Oubre is coming back from an injury, didn't play a lot or that well that last game. Him coming back kind of eats into the Wiggins love a little bit, and obviously you can't play Kent Bazemore if Oubre is back in and Wiggins is playing and Steph is playing. So I'm keeping it Steph Curry, and that's it for me.
Yeah, I love Steph here. I normally on any other slate, looking at Westbrook and a near price, looking at Jokic, we'll get to later. A lot of guys that I just gravitate more just basically because of their floor. Just have those guys have triple-double floors, it feels like. But Steph Curry on this streak, he's just been torching. It's hard not to just want to play him in every single slate at this point. If he's dropping 60-plus points in 4 out of the last 5 games, and he's setting records along the way. So, I'm going to probably be up there. He's, I don't know, all in all, maybe like 40% ownership when I'm looking at some of my GPPs is one of my high price guys. I'll have some shares of those other 2 guys and some other, maybe even divvy some out to a couple of these other guys we get to. I can't play them all. I'll have to cross some of them off the list. But Curry's definitely going to be one of the guys near the top. Outside of him, I could see taking a stab at Draymond Green, especially knowing that this Washington front court's even a little bit more hobbled than it normally is. Obviously, I just don't think pairing those two guys just makes a whole lot of sense. I would look to get one of them in there. And I'm probably just going to end up leaning Steph. But looking on the Washington side of things, Russell Westbrook coming in at 10-9. I always love playing me some Russ. So, yeah, he's going to be up there, probably right there next to Curry. Those might be two of my top options. He put up 61.5 DK points in this matchup earlier in the season. Guess what? It was a triple-double. Big surprise there. This dude's just walking 60 points pretty much, it feels like, every single night. And you can't go wrong with the floor, and the ceiling's just as high as anybody else's. But are you playing anybody else on this Washington team? Because I'm probably going to cut it off right there.
This game total is so sexy. I do have some interest in some of the lower price guys. I have some interest in some Davis Bertans without Rui Hachimura, and I just think that he's probably going to get a majority of those Hachimura shot attempts. Not that there's a ton to go around because you do have Russell Westbrook and you do have Bradley Beal. So it's not, not a huge, it's a GPP play. It's not necessarily a cash play is what I'm trying to say. Not necessarily safe value. The safe value, I think, safer would be Daniel Gafford at 3,900. This kid, he's only played 16 minutes the last two, but he's still got over 20 DK points, and he's really a point per minute monster. He's got such a massive upside. I always want to play him. And the Warriors, obviously, not necessarily the best team down low. They don't even have Wiseman, so I do like some Daniel Gafford at 3,900. So I'll take a stab at some of those cheaper guys, probably more so than the GPP side, though.
All right. Yeah, see, I don't mind a guy like Gafford. I know Santino played him, I think, on Friday, and he had that, I think it was like a 26-point. He just came off the bench and was absolutely torched. And correct me if I'm wrong, Keith, I don't remember him doing this on the Bulls. He looked like a completely different player when he was over there. If I'm not mistaken.
I will say, last season he had some really shining moments. We had some high hopes from this season, and he was just he stunk it up all over the place in the season. So, no, he's really been playing well for the Wizards. So hopefully he can get it going.
My only issue, I guess, where I cross into like guys like Daniel Gafford is, do I like him more than just the guy that we talked about in the previous game at the same position in Tice? And I probably don't. I think I prefer to play Tice. Only like $100 difference, if I'm not mistaken. $100 difference could even be the same price tag, and same both just center eligible. So I just don't see myself landing on him too much. If I'm open at that spot, I'll probably just find my way to Tice. Is what I'm gonna do. But you ready to move on to this next game?
Yes, sir.
All right. Maybe one of these days I'll remember to take my phone and put it on silent before I start a podcast. Brooklyn Nets traveling to Toronto, taking on the Raptors here. Another game which I think we could probably expect a decently high total in, but we're not going to have it yet. Brooklyn, second half of a back-to-back. Keith sweating over there because of it. Raptors, Jalen Harris, Rodney Hood, Paul Watson all rolled out. Looks like we are supposedly getting the starters back. Keep your eye on it. It's the sneaky Raptors who don't care about getting fined at this point. No game total for this one. I think I can comfortably say that one. Yep, I'm good there. Now I got all nervous. We'll start off with this Brooklyn team, Keith. How you doing on that prop bet? A. And B. What are you looking at?
Unfortunately, it doesn't look like that prop bet's gonna hit. It looks like the Nets are gonna win this one. They're up to with Bruce Brown line. Oh, he missed one. Okay, so Pell's still got some life in him, but I'm hoping for OT at this point for that prop bet. I don't know if it's gonna happen, but no, I think Kyrie Irving at 9,900, who is the guy I have the prop bet on, is a solid play, especially if Durant is out. Obviously, if Durant's in, I'm not gonna touch him. If Durant is out, I mean everything starts and ends with Kyrie Irving. So 9,900, I'll go that way. And then the other guy that's just been crushing it and killing it, and he actually has 9 assists tonight, is Landry Shamit, and he's only 4,600. 1 second here, I'm sorry guys, 4,600, and so I'll roll there because he's got a pretty good role in the offense, and he's also, I guess, distributing the ball now, which is kind of crazy to me. But that's those are the two guys I'm looking at on the Nets side.
Yeah, obviously, I think Kyrie Irving's always going to be a play. I don't expect Kevin Durant to play. I mean, they're taking the cautious approach with James Harden after he just re-aggravated his injury and he's out indefinitely. So I think better be safe than sorry with Kevin Durant, especially he was just coming off an injury not too long. They said it's nothing serious, just like basically a nice bruise. But second half of a back-to-back, maybe they're being cautious on the front half. There's that chance, but I expect him to sit. And if he does, Kyrie's in play at 9,900. Prefer him over Vucevic. But I still think I'd rather just spend up, the extra $1,000 to Westbrook, or even just the extra $600 and go into Curry. Outside of him, though, I'm with you. I think Shamit's in play at 4,600. And then if you want to take a shot at one of these guys at the center position, we've seen Toronto be pretty vulnerable time and time again. Claxton, I believe he was ruled out of tonight's game. It was health and safety protocols. So there's a chance that he's ruled out of the back-to-back. And if that's the case, I think we could get a fair amount of, a guy like DeAndre Jordan, another guy that's center that just falls right into that 4K range. Wouldn't mind taking a stab at him if there's no Claxton. But keep in mind, Jeff Green will probably find himself at center a decent amount as well. Toronto side of things, we got starters, I guess. But which ones are you looking at? I mean, we're not getting any discounts despite them not playing for a month.
Yeah, I was hoping I could roll some Fred VanVleet or something. I love that guy, but no, at those prices, I don't even know if they're going to play a full amount of minutes. I guess they probably will if they're playing, but there's just so much uncertainty there. In a 12-game slate, I just don't think you need to roll the dice on any of them. I mean, GPPs go for it. You can play VanVleet, you can play Lowry, you can play Siakam. Any of those guys is probably fine, but I think I prefer just to stay away. The one guy I would look at is Chris Boucher. 7,600 against this, awful Brooklyn's Nets interior defense. And like you said, Claxton might play, but I'm thinking he's probably going to be out for this one. I think the last game was his first game out with the health and safety protocols. So I think he's probably going to sit this one. And if that's the case, I just think they're so weak down there. Chris Boucher at 7,600 makes a lot of sense. That's the only guy I'm looking at, though.
I'm kind of with you. I'm only going to target these guys in GPP simply because, like you said, if the game gets out of hand any one way or another, these guys are going to get ride pine as fast as possible. It's evident Toronto, they don't even want to win this game. They're basically playing this game so they don't get fined. They're Marshawn Lynch right now. I'm just here so I don't get fined. But I'd look at the backcourt if I'm looking anywhere. Fred VanVleet, Lowry, I think those guys are still priced appropriately. It's a great matchup, up-pace tempo. We know that they're going to be probably shooting a whole lot. One thing about Chris Boucher, I don't like the price increase, 7,600. Now we're paying a premium, and the difference is like this is probably one of the highest price tags Boucher's seen. And over the last few games, there was either no Siakam, just kind of split the time of Ken Birch, and before then it was just Siakam, no Ken Birch, and now it's Siakam and Ken Birch. And I just don't know if we're going to see a full workload out of Boucher like that we'd want to. It's still a fantastic matchup. He could get it done in probably 25 minutes. But I just feel a little less comfortable paying that 7,600. I don't know if we see 35 minutes like we did against OKC. Might be more like 26, 28. I feel a little less confident in that price tag. But the matchup, man, centers. I feel like anytime I talk bad about a center going against Brooklyn, I just eat my hat the next day.
Yeah, I mean, it's always possible, but it's a good point. I mean, Birch is there and definitely eats into that upside for sure. But so maybe just a GPP play, but probably not going to play a lot of them anyways.
We got so many centers, but there's always centers. I'm the center guy. OKC versus Indiana, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Pacers at home here. This is going to be I think, like one of those little sneaky games where there's always some good fantasy value that just kind of flies under the radar. But for the Pacers, Goga, Jeremy Lamb, Doug McDermott, all questionable. Domantas Sabonis, Miles Turner, TJ Warren, all ruled out. OKC, we have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Josh Hall, Mike Muscala, Isaiah Roby, Gabriel Deck, all ruled out. Lou Jensen's Dort is questionable. The Dort god himself. I don't know if there's any other way you could describe this man. Outside of just simply a god. That's what he is at this point. DK price reflecting that. But start us off here with this Thunder team. What can we expect from I guess a team with we've been seeing this lineup that they should roll out plenty of times now.
Yeah, they've just had so many different starting lineups. It's really hard to judge. I mean, I typically been going to Alexei Pukashevsky, and I don't mind going to him again here at 5,700. Another guy that just contributes in every single way. He blocks the basketball, rebounds it, assists, points, what you name it. He's putting it up there. So I don't mind going to that. It's not my favorite play. It's always going to be a GPP play because he's very up and down. But 5,700 is a fair price for that guy and what he could produce. Darius Baisley's the other guy I'd be looking at 6,200. He just had a monster game not too long ago, and possible he does it here again. There's no Domantas Sabonis and there's no Miles Turner on the other side of the ball, so not really any shot blockers. He's going to have a decent mid-range game here, I would think. So don't mind paying 6,200, but I'm probably not playing any of these Thunder players, to be honest. Those are just guys I'd look at for GPPs.
Yeah, I think they're all just kind of like those they're priced appropriately. They're priced in those mid-5 range because they're all pretty volatile. We've seen them pretty much all hit 40 plus DK points. We've seen them all hit 19 or 20. It's in the cards. This Indiana team, it's a plus matchup in real life as opposed to on paper because we know that they're missing two of their best front court guys. There's that positive. Do they really even have the personnel to deal with a guy like Pokemon? He's going to be playing power forward with Roby out too, so he's not going to be playing the 3. I like him. I always like him a little bit better when he's playing the 4, just a little bit more rebounds available, playing a little closer to the basket. So I do think this is one of those better matchups for him. I will have some shares of him. If Dort's out, we could go back to a guy like Kenrich Williams as well. 4,900, he'd probably play mostly the 3. And that's just a fair price tag. If I'm going anywhere, it's probably going to be those two guys. But on the other side of the ball, looking at the Pacers, no Sabonis, no Miles Turner, possibly no Goga. And let me just thank Goga. I kind of tweeted it. Just doing what every DFS player hopes to do. Guys just producing monster value in the first quarter, the first half, takes the trip to the locker room that we all always fear, hurts himself, but comes back out just to get his fantasy managers and his DFS owners another 10 solid points. He just knew. He just that's what we love to see, man. And you just earned yourself a spot in my Hall of Fame. I love that. I won some money off you, buddy. I appreciate that. But he's questionable. So it's risky. He's dealing with that ankle soreness, and he's always dealing with something. I believe I saw when he actually took that trip to the locker room, one of the beat writers for the Pacers, I want to say it was Scott Agnes, but I don't want to actually misquote the wrong person, but kind of just did, I guess. I believe someone mentioned that they thought it was knee soreness at first because he's been dealing with just some nagging knee injuries and knee soreness, and he's already been limited and kind of doing that. So it wouldn't shock me if he sits, but he came back in for one specific reason. They just need bodies. They need this dude badly. The next man up is, I guess it's probably going to be like Jakar Sampson. They've ran him at the 5 a few times, but they really don't have the options. The other, I believe they just signed O'Shea Brissett to a 3-year contract, but is he going to be available? Actually, no, he just made his start. So there's him. 3,100. He's a value play. I don't know too much about him though, Keith. So maybe you could shine some light on him. I usually don't try to go to guys. I got to dive into him for a good hour or two tomorrow. But he seems like he's going to be the go-to value.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly go that route. I don't know. It feels like you're pulling out your hair for no reason, really. I don't see these guys being huge contributors. I'd rather go to Brogdon at 7,700, LeVert at 7,600, more so LeVert 7,600, just because those shots are going to be there. And when he's getting those shots, he's putting up 20, 25 shots. He's going to hit the value even at that bit. Not even a big price tag. 7,600 is pretty affordable, so I like that play a lot. But the one guy I'll look at for the front court, if he plays, of course, is Doug McDermott, Dougie Buckets, 3,900. The Pacers do run him at the power forward spot quite a bit, so I'd have to imagine they do that here again. And we'll see who they play next to him. But if shots are available and I've got Dougie Buckets sitting out there, I don't mind going there, and he seems like a pretty solid value play.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen Dougie Buckets run the 4 plenty of times, and they like to do it. I think for me, if I see that Dougie Buckets and Goga are both out, I'm gonna have some O'Shea. I don't know too much about this guy. I'm saying this as the night before. I'm gonna dive into him, but he played 25 minutes in the last one. Someone's got to rebound for this team, and I told you I like those easy upside rebound prop bets. If I'm playing any of them, it's gonna be those ones. And it's a guy that like this, that if he can get me 6 rebounds in 25 minutes against San Antonio, I suppose. All those guys are out. That was with Goga playing 24. He'd probably see at least 30, I would assume. I could be wrong. I don't know much about this guy. He could play 30. And at that point, we might be looking at like an 8 to 9 rebound game. Cuts a couple baskets. We're looking at some immediate value at the guy near minimum salary. So I'm going to look into him a little bit more. But as of right now, I'm kind of interested. Outside of him, I prefer LeVert over Brogdon, but these guys are both very, very viable, especially in this matchup. We know OKC is playing very little defense. Should be plenty of shot attempts to go with the pace in this one, too. It's an up-pace tempo for the Pacers. Ready to move on?
Let's do it, man.
All right. Phoenix Suns traveling to Philly. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Taking on the Sixers. For the Sixers, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, both questionable. Ben Simmons and Harris both missed that last one. Simmons with the illness. Harris dealing with right knee soreness. For the Suns, Cam Johnson is available, while Abdul Nader is out. Dario Saric is probable. No game total, no spread for this one. Pass it over to you, Keith. Talk about the Suns. Anybody to target here?
No, no. This is gonna be a fun game. The Suns and the 76ers. It's gonna be a good game. I'm hoping that Simmons plays. Just so they can have a full squad against each other, because I love good basketball, and this will be good basketball. But that said, both these teams are pretty slow when it comes to pace, and they play great defense. So I don't have a lot of interest on either side. If I'm gonna roll something in GPP, I'd go Chris Paul maybe at 7,700. If Ben Simmons is out, because they're going to be missing that defensive presence. He's just a beast on defense, and so if he's out, I don't mind playing some Chris Paul or maybe even some Devin Booker, but I just prefer Chris Paul at that price tag. But I don't really have a lot of interest on the Sun side. What about you?
Pretty much the same there. If I'm playing anyone, it's Paul, and I can see myself maybe having a share or two of Jay Crowder if I land on him. I just love playing Jay Crowder in any actual type basketball game. We just tend to see 30-plus minutes out of him in those matchups where if Harris does play, we'll probably see 30-plus out of Jay Crowder. But I just talked about my guy O'Shea for 1,100 less. I don't even know if I can think about Jay Crowder anymore now. I just can't get this guy off my mind. I gotta look him up bad.
That's the play. That's the one.
I gotta please. I hope I don't lose money on him. I gotta see. Hopefully, I'm off of him and I can just stop thinking about it. But we'll see. On the Philly side of things, a lot's gonna be determined for me by Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris playing. It's that simple. I mean, even if they sit, it's not like I want to just immediately slot in Seth Curry. There was a little narrative going against his brother last game. Now he's going against Chris Paul, where Chris Paul's a little bit of a better defender than his brother. So I don't think I'd want to really target him in that one. I'll probably take a hard pass on just about everybody over here. Being realistic, Ben Simmons is in a great match. Joel Embiid's in a great matchup, but I'm not going to play him over some of these other high-priced guys we talked about.
Yeah. I've been harping in the Discord, whenever we get that late breaking news that Simmons is sitting, and Embiid's usually a very solid play just because his usage jumps like 6 or 8 percentage points, something like that, when Simmons is on the sidelines. But I just can't do it. The Suns are just such a good defensive team in general. I just can't bring myself to do it at that big price tag. I will play some Tobias Harris if he's playing and Ben Simmons is sitting. 7,600. I think that's a pretty solid price for him, and he's going to get some extra usage with Simmons on the sidelines. But that's two ifs there, so who knows? And then if Shake Milton at 4,300 if Simmons sits, I'll roll some of him also. But really, I probably will end up with maybe one share of these guys. Like it's going to be almost nothing. So pretty much hard pass as well for me.
All right, we'll move on to the 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time games. Utah Jazz traveling to Houston, taking on the Rockets here. For the Rockets, DJ Augustine, Sterling Brown, Dante Exum, Eric Gordon, Daniel House Jr., David Nwaba, all ruled out. Sterling Brown, hopefully recovers soon. Guy took I guess a little bit of a beating. Got assaulted outside of a club or whatever it may have been. But yeah, never fun news to hear. I don't know the story behind any of it, but anytime a player gets hurt, just hope he gets back pretty quickly. It doesn't seem like it's anything too serious. They just said lacerations. Sounded like a bottle to the head, actually. But I don't know what that's to do with fantasy. I just felt like bringing some news into it. But with the Utah Jazz, Ersan Ilyasova is questionable. Donovan Mitchell ruled out. Back to the important stuff, Keith. Start off with this Jazz team. It's a great matchup, but how long does Houston hang on for?
Yeah, I don't see the Jazz just blew out. I think who was it? The Lakers they just played. I mean, the Jazz are going to roll even without Donovan Mitchell. I don't. The blowout potential is just it's real here, and so I probably won't end up with a lot of these guys. But you can roll some Mike Conley at 6,800, some Jordan Clarkson at 6,600, or some Joe Ingles at 6,400. Take your pick, one of those guys. I wouldn't roll two of them, but if you want to roll one of them in a GPP lineup, more power to you. And hopefully, the Rockets just play an insane game and stay in this. But I just don't see it. So I'm probably going to take a hard pass on the whole game, to be honest. But for the Jazz, yeah, those three guys would be who I was looking at if I'm going to play somebody.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention it. I should have 227 game total and 10.5 point spread. Jazz being favored by 10.5 points. That tells you all you need to know. I'll probably be taking a hard pass on both sides. If I'm playing anybody, it would just be Conley. That's it for me. And then on the Houston side of things, I'll continue that hard pass. If I was playing anybody, it would just be John Wall. But I don't want to play John Wall really in this matchup.
Yep, I've got nobody on the Rockets side, so we can move on.
All right. Only 6 games left.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Just 6. Halfway through. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game. Atlanta Hawks traveling to New York, taking on the Knicks in this one. No injury reports for either team. Hawks on the second half of a back-to-back. Do we have a game total, though? We do. 218. Knicks favored by 2 points in this one. These Hawks are starting to play well. Clint Capella's getting noticed. It's about damn time. Where are you at, Adam? Are you playing him?
Oh yeah, I have some interest in Clint Capella. I just think this isn't necessarily going to be a game. I mean, the Hawks play with a lot of pace. The Knicks don't play with a lot of pace, but it'll be a game that is going to have a lot of rebounds, a lot of up and down play. I like Clint Capella 8,900. I'll go there. I think he had like 60-something DK points last game. I'm not looking at it right now, obviously, but he had a really big game last one, and I don't think there's any reason that he couldn't have another big one here. Nerlens Noel isn't necessarily the most intimidating guy on the glass, and he might block a few shots, but that's not really what Clint Capella does. Clint Capella, gets putbacks, gets dunks, gets alley-oops. So I think he's safe and a good play here. I do like some John Collins at 6,700. That's very iffy though. That's a very very GPP contrarian play because a lot of people aren't going to be playing him. He's not even playing a full boat of minutes if I remember correctly from tonight as I was watching him. I think he got pulled pretty early in the games, which they were winning by a lot anyways, and they have a back-to-back, so maybe that was partially why. But I'll roll some of him in at 6,700 and some GPPs just because he has that upside. So those are the two guys I'm looking at. Not necessarily looking at Trae Young. It's not necessarily a bad play to play Trae Young in my opinion, but the Knicks just have a good defense and they slow the pace down. So I'm just not looking his way.
I'm not playing anybody. I don't think I like anybody on the Hawks here. I don't mind Capella. Don't get me wrong. I just, I don't want to pay up on a guy who's coming off of a 60-point game going against the Knicks. I just try not to target the Knicks as often as possible if I don't need to. And, 12 games, so many other center options. I just don't feel like I need to. So if you land on them, if you're going double center, I'm not going to hate it. I just don't think I'm going to see myself there. The Knicks side of the things, though, a little bit more interesting, I think, anytime you're getting paired up against the Hawks. And it's for the Knicks, pretty much every matchup's almost going to be an up-paced matchup for them. Julius Randle, one of these guys coming in over 10K. So where does he fall? Fantastic matchup. I won't fault you for playing him. I think I like him a lot. I think I still prefer Westbrook and Curry over him. We'll get to Jokic. That's where I think he kind of falls right in that territory if I want to play him. I think just because of the eligibility, having dual eligibility, and being able to slot him in at power forward, and I can still get some center value, I probably have Randle a little higher, but it's like splitting hairs. Randle's averaging 62 DK points against the Hawks in 2 matchups this season. He's absolutely torched them with or without John Collins. So, yeah, I'm good with going to him. I don't know. That's probably it. I don't mind taking stabs at some of these other guys, maybe like an Elfrid Payton. When Elfrid Payton plays well, they usually extend the leash just a little bit more, give him like 25 or 26 minutes. And again, Hawks, we know that they get torched by point guards. He's averaging 26 points against them this season in those 2 matchups in about 26 minutes. So if we see another one of those games, he could probably return the value knowing that he's going to get that good matchup.
Yeah, I've got some interest in Nerlens Noel as just a salary filler, 4,200. I mean, this guy's guaranteed 20 TK points pretty much, with a little bit of upside there if he's getting those defensive stats. But yeah, not a lot of interest on this side of the ball. Julius Randle, you named 3 guys that I would rather roster in Jokic, Curry, and Westbrook over him. So yeah, I'm probably not going to end up with any Knicks, to be honest.
I don't blame you. We got a lot of options. We got a lot of guys. Who do you like better though, Tice or Noel?
I probably like Tice more. Yeah, if it came down to it, and Tice is cheaper, so probably going to be more Tice than Noel. That's for sure.
I always like to just set myself like a benchmark at each position where we have to make tough decisions. And bottom line, I like both of those guys too. I like Noel as well. But sometimes maybe we're helping the listeners out a little bit because they're probably sitting there. And maybe I used taking some notes. We can like, holy crap, Mike said 11 centers. Which one should I play? Yeah, that's kind of where I was at too. So far, Tice is probably my favorite center value that we've mentioned. But moving on to the next one, Miami Heat traveling to San Antonio, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time game. Miami dealing with their own problems, their own issues lately. Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler, Dwayne Dedmon, Tyler Hero, all questionable. Victor Oladipo's not traveling with the team. He's out. Gabe Vincent is probable for the Spurs. It's only Trey Lyles. He's ruled out. Everybody else should be good to go. No game total, though. No spread. Looking at this Miami team, it's kind of hard to say what we're going to do, really, until we know who's playing. I mean, if it's anything like that last game, I think we know where to go. It's going to be Kendrick Nunn. It's going to be Goran Dragic. It's going to be taking stabs at guys like, Andre Iguodala for some value and Trevor Ariza at 5K playing some power forward. And that's probably where I draw the line. If Bam plays, I think he's a solid play at 8,300. That's a fair price tag. Well, we've already talked about a few other centers, though. I might prefer him a little bit more. I'm not expecting this game to have too high of a game total. If Jimmy Butler plays, I'm not going to play him at 9,800. And if Tyler Hero plays, I don't see myself having any shares of him. So I'm more or less going to have only interest in this Miami team if some of these guys are rolled out.
Yeah, that's fair. I do have some interest just in general in Kendrick Nunn at 5,300. It was since Oladipo's been out, he's been getting 30+ minutes on a regular basis, and I think it's a fair price tag. And if, like you said, if all those guys sit, we saw what he can do if he takes the reins on the offensive side and put up a bunch of points. So I do have some interest in Kendrick Nunn at 5,300. But yeah, we're gonna have to wait and see who plays. I mean, it's hard to say who we want to play in DFS until we know who's playing in real life. And if all those guys sit, then Nunn's really solid. If not, then I could play some Bam. I could play some Butler, but we'll have to see who plays.
All right. How about on the other side of the ball? Looking at these Spurs, Derek White coming off of a monster. I think he had like 18 points in the first quarter of the last game. Only finished with 25, but shot 6 of 11 from deep. Had one of his best games, I thought, of the season. Could he follow it up with another one? He's kind of in that mid-price 6'3". It's not necessarily the best matchup, but I guess if some of these guys are ruled out, it gets a little bit better. But can you see yourself going to White or I guess anybody in the backcourt or Murray?
No, I think you nailed it. I think the Heat are pretty solid defensively. Again, if their people are ruled out, then yeah, maybe I can go to some DeJounte Murray, or I can go to some Derek White possibly in a GPP, but I'd be probably higher on DeJounte myself. But I'd also go to some Jakob Podol. Jakob.
I think he always gets you, man. I think
it does.
Like that one always gets you.
It's one of those names that I'm like, mush mouth. But 5,900, I'll go to him if Bam Adebayo sits also. So it's just again, it's really dependent on who's playing on the other side of the ball. The Heat are a really good defensive team, but when all those guys were out early in the season, we saw what happened. They were not a great defensive team. So it's really a 50-50 right now, and we have to just wait and see.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I just think, push comes to shove, I just don't see myself having too many Spurs. 12 games, it's 24 total teams. Take out the Spurs, there's 23. We already said I'm probably taking out the Hawks, 22. I'll have plenty of teams to still choose between. I'll be okay. Maybe I miss out if DeMar DeRozan goes off for 65. I miss out on the play of the night. I'll take that one off the chin. That's going to happen a few times per season where that happens. So just got to be ready. If you play DFS on a nightly basis, you're going to take a couple off the chin, and you can still profit. You'll be okay. Fully prepared to do that if that game does that to me, though. But moving on to the next one. Detroit Pistons traveling to Dallas, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time game. Mavericks, Tim Hardaway Jr. is questionable. Tyrell Terry is ruled out. And for the Pistons, Killian Hayes is ruled out. Right hip injury management, so he's resting. Rodney McGruder is ruled out. Dennis Smith Jr. is doubtful. We do not have a game total, and we do not have a spread. Every time I get the long pause, I should just say it, but then I know I'm going to look, and it's going to be there. Lead us off with the Pistons. How much Isaiah Stewart is too much Isaiah Stewart, but no, in all reality, could we play him with Mason Plumlee back in the lineup? I mean, he had that one monster game when he was there anyway.
Yeah, I do have some interest in Isaiah Stewart at 5,600. I think his price is, and let me see here. Yep, 5,600. I got some interest here in Isaiah Stewart, and Mason Plumlee might be playing, but he only played 16 minutes last game he played. So I just don't think they have a lot of interest in playing this guy big minutes. They have more interest in developing Isaiah Stewart, as they should. I think they have the worst record, or one of the worst records at least in the NBA. So that's Yes, I'll go there for sure. Yeah, Killian Hayes is out. Maybe you have some interest in Corey Joseph. Maybe some Saban Lee. Corey Joseph is 5,000. Saban Lee's 3,600. So some interest in some of those guys because they've got to start somebody at point guard. Dennis Smith Jr. might play, but he's doubtful. So probably going to be a lot of Corey Joseph, to be honest. So 5K, I got some interest there. And then that's really it for me. I mean, maybe if Jeremy Grant plays and we know he's going to get a full number of minutes, then at 6,800 I do have some interest in him as well.
I think I'm just leaning on the first two guys you said. Stewart, 56. I still love that price tag. Dallas is still very vulnerable against centers. Their defense has been, I mean, they had one of the worst defenses going into the All-Star break and pretty much flipped the switch. Much better defense, but they're still very, very vulnerable against big. So knowing Stewart, like you said, not expecting a full complement of minutes for a guy like Plumlee. Stewart's probably going to be looking at about 25 minutes regardless, and he's a point-per-minute monster. And the best thing about him right now is he's playing with confidence. You know, when a young guy like that sees that he could do this at this high of a level and do it for 3 games straight, I mean, this guy's been putting absolutely monster numbers. He's got 49 rebounds over the past 3 games. He's blocking shots along the way. 7 block shots in those 3 games. I got to have some interest. His price tag's barely moving, and it's simply because Mason Plumlee's name's off the injury report every other day, despite playing a little bit of amount of minutes. So hopefully some of the ownership drifts away, knowing all that's there, and we just capitalize off it. So 56, sign me up. And then looking at Corey Joseph, I just don't like playing Corey Joseph, but he's gonna play. He's gonna play a lot of minutes. He's 5K. It's a decent price tag. Sonny yelled at me today. He said, he's like, listen, you can't keep saying guys are bad at basketball. He's like, they're in the NBA. It doesn't make sense. And I'm like, I think people get what I'm saying. I don't mean he's bad at basketball.
Comparatively bad.
Yeah. I'm just saying compared to the other 494 players in the league, he might be 495. He's just that, he's not good.
I know we got a lot more games to cover, but that kind of reminds me of the Scalabrine story. If you've ever followed him after his NBA career and people were talking smack, and so he had a one-on-one tournament with a bunch of people that were, young upstarts, and he killed them all 11 or something like that. It's like, yeah, he's still an NBA player, man. Like, he's still way better. But yeah, comparatively, I understand what you're saying.
yeah. No shots at Kojo. Sorry, man. I know you're listening. Big fan. But I don't think I'm gonna play him. I just can't. He's like that guy. As good as Harrison Barnes has been all season, I just still have that distaste in my mouth where the second I play him and he burns me, I'm like, I deserved it. Why did I do it? I went against my code. But 5K is not a bad price tag, but like I said, Dallas has been good defensively. They've been very good at defending opposing point guards too. So just don't know if I get there. I think I'll just stay at Stewart. But looking over on the Dallas side of things, my boy Luka Doncic coming in at 10.8. Where does he rank? I mean, we can keep going with guys priced over 10K. I think you said your top, 3 or 4 before involved Curry, Westbrook, Jokic. Does Luka fall anywhere in between, or is he on the outside of that group of 3?
He's a little bit lower. I mean, I don't mind. I think he's a good tournament play for that reason. I think a lot of people will probably be off of him because it's just not a very sexy matchup. The Mavericks against the Pistons. But yeah, I mean the Mavs. I mean, you got to look at Luka Doncic. You got to look at Kristaps Porzingis, 10.8 and 9K for those guys respectively, and both of them are in play. I mean, it's those guys have to play for the Mavs. I mean, the Mavs really don't have a lot of star talent or depth beyond those guys. So even if it's going to be a blowout, they're still going to get 3 at least solid quarters. I don't know if they necessarily even do blow out this Pistons team, but if the Pistons sit guys, I mean, yeah, who knows? But yeah, I don't think I have Doncic in my top 3 as far as the 10K and over guys, but he's just below that for me.
All right. Yeah, guy, I see. I'm kind of with you in there. He remains a good tournament play always, just because anytime he's got that 80-point upside. He could do that. He's that good of a player. But for me, I'll be looking at one guy, and it's only if Tim Hardaway Jr. is ruled out. I'll play some Brunson at 4,400. I think you'd probably be looking at 34, 35 minutes from him. Most likely, Jay Rich might just slide right up to the 3. Dorian Finney obviously will play there as well, but we'll probably see a fair amount of Brunson, knowing that he's pretty much locked into a 25, 26-minute role on a night-to-night basis, and taking out a guy that plays 30 minutes on that wing would only give him a little bit of a bump. Good matchup, 4,400. I'd play a little bit. More than Corey Joseph, I can tell you that much. Ready to move on? Break out the last 3 games, all 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time games, the late games. Memphis Grizzlies. Memphis? Grizzlies. I gotta say the late game voice, Grizzlies. Traveling to LA. I gotta stop, man. It's getting late over here. Traveling to LA, taking on the Clippers. Grizzlies, Dylan Brooks and Jaren Jackson Jr. I love to see it. Questionable, please, my man. He's one of my favorite young players. I want this guy to play so bad. But he is finally getting closer to making his debut. I can't wait to see it. Jonas Valanciunas, he's still out in the concussion protocol. For the Clippers, no injury report, but we got the update today. Kawhi Leonard will be missing at least the next week. So we're not going to be seeing Kawhi for quite some time. Hopefully he's back for the actual playoffs. So I imagine he will be. But break down this Memphis team. I guess big elephant in the room. Could we go back to Tillman?
I don't know if you can go back to Tillman because, oh gosh, what was that? You caught me off guard with that because there is somebody else in the mix there that kind of threw me off of Tillman. It's Clark. That's right. Yeah. Clark is back. Clark is back, and we also have let's see. Jaren Jackson Jr. might be coming back for this one. Maybe. I mean, we don't know. He's been out all season. Who knows if he's going to be back in? But if he is back in the mix, I can't go back to Tillman. It looked good last game. This game, not so much. But the only Grizzly I really have an interest in is Ja Morant, 7,200. This. I think as long as the Clippers don't have Patrick Beverley, they're going to be pretty weak against that point guard spot. Reggie Jackson just doesn't scare me at all. They don't have the claw, they don't have Kawhi Leonard, so they're a little bit weak on the defensive front, in my opinion. So I'll go to some Ja Morant at 7,200. That's really the only person I have any interest in. If Clark was out, you make a great call. That's one thing I learned from you, Mike, is that anytime that Brandon Clark sits, you got to look at Kyle Anderson slow-mo, but obviously Clark's playing this one, so Kyle Anderson's not on my radar either. So it's really just some Ja Morant at 7,200 for me.
Yep, I don't mind looking at Ja, just knowing that he's been playing well. He's another one of those. That's something I always look for younger players. When they're on one of those streaks, they're generally on the streaks if they're young. It's a lot of it's confidence. It's these guys haven't doing it before. I mean, you see Steph Curry in a hot streak, you just ride that thing to the moon because it's Steph Curry. We know what this. We've seen this before. Maybe not this one. This one's historic, but I don't mind targeting Ja Morant in this kind of matchup, knowing that they're going to be without Kawhi Leonard. They're still going to be without a couple other bodies over there that they've been without, mostly in, I guess, the backcourt. Patrick Beverley, he's not going to be there to, possibly take out Ja's ankles and knees when he's launching off the ground. So that's good for him. And the price tag's good. But I'm not playing Kyle Anderson. I don't see myself, jumping on the Grayson Allen bandwagon. I was playing a ton of Grayson Allen earlier in the season. It's going to be taking 20 shot attempts, but we're starting to see some guys get back. They're starting to get healthy. This feels like it's a trap in this one, and I think he's going to draw a lot of ownership. So for all those reasons, that's the main reason I'm fading. If this was a 5-6 game slate and he's 4,900 and he was a smack me in the face kind of value, I would probably get some shares. But I think we're going to have so many other options where if we see that or get the feeling that 20%, he might even be closer to like a 25. Did it gravitate towards him? I'll be fine avoiding that. And again, I'll be ready to take it off the chin. Clark did play in the last one, but he was kind of limited. Good chance he's going to be limited in this one. If Jaren Jackson is ruled out, I don't want to go right back to Tillman. Again, I feel like this one's also a trap, but I do think he's an option. He played him with confidence in that last one. It was a ridiculously high-scoring game. He's probably not seeing 41 minutes in a regular game, in a regular outing. But this guy has double upside, and I always look for that. Anybody that's under 5K that has double upside can pay off that price tag. So he'll have it in this matchup if he starts at center again. On the Clippers side of the ball, though, Paul George coming at 93. He's probably one of my favorite plays outside of these guys that are all over 10K. So if I'm going to spend up anywhere else, I think that's where I'm going to be gravitating towards. I'm expecting a pretty tight game. No Kawhi Leonard. This guy's going to have to do a lot of the heavy lifting going forward. So at 9,300, it's hard not to have some love for him. And then we saw Terrence Mann draw the start today. 4,500, I don't mind taking some stabs at Terrence Mann at 4,500 if he's going to be drawing starts. Definitely a guy that I can have some interest in. So those are probably going to be my two primary options. Morris and Jackson, they float in that mid-5 range. And again, they're always available. But those just happen to always be like, if I land on them type guys for me.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I have probably a little bit more Marcus Morris Senior interest than you do at 5,700. I think he's solid anytime Kawhi is not playing. But yeah, I get it. That's not the sexiest player, or probably not something that everyone's going to be on. Terrence Mann's interesting. Like you said, starting 4,500. He's been a guy of mine since he was in the 3Ks, and now he's up 4,500. So it's like I almost feel like I have to jump off at this point. It's like, okay, now everyone's onto him, so I got to go find someone else that's like 3K. But no, he's, as long as he's getting those minutes, I don't mind paying 4,500 for him. But yeah, Paul George, probably my favorite play on the entire slate, just because Kawhi's missing this one for sure. So
I love that. I love that when you just ride a guy and then you're like, people know about him. We have to be like it's like a hipster thing to do, just to start immediately disliking something that everybody else likes just because they like it. It's like you think he's still gonna hit the value, but everybody's on him, so I don't want to touch it anymore. But I that's your call, man. That's your guy. Terrence Mann, you've been riding him, and you have been absolutely correct on him every single time. So maybe I'll take a step back if you're saying you're hopping off of him.
No, I have to be. My wife is a FSU graduate, so that's a big reason for that play there. To be honest with you, but no, he's a good player. I've been watching him for quite a while.
Is she just like hovering over behind you with the slipper right now, just like waiting? Like you better say something good.
Well, she loves Patrick Williams too. I'm glad the Bulls drafted him, so it's good.
All right, so she's got some FSU love, some pride. Unfortunately, I went to a D2 college where I think the best player to come out of there was he's playing overseas right now. He's pretty good, but not NBA. But Scott Burrell is our head coach over at my alma mater. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's a name I know.
Yeah, before the last dance and all this, I got to interview him probably close to 50 times, covered in school paper. And now he's all famous, and he probably wouldn't talk to me. But Denver Nuggets traveling to Portland. This is going to be a fun one. I'm expecting this one to probably be, what do you think, the second or third highest owned game on the slate, next to that 240 game total that we talked about before in Washington. But Denver, Monte Morris, Jamal Murray both ruled out. Portland has yet to submit their injury report, so we'll have to wait and see on that. But we should have a good idea. No game total, no spread. We're going to have to wait. I'm imagining. What do you think? If you had to put a number, I would probably say, 234 or 5.5?
That sounds fair. Yeah, Nuggets, Blazers. Yeah, I mean, there's no Jamal Murray, so they might take it down a little bit to like 230.
Yeah, and Lillard.
234 sounds good. Yeah, no Lillard for sure. Yeah,
you might be right there. All right, well, let's talk about this Nuggets team. I mean, you were talking about Jokic. He is actually, is he tied? Or is he the most expensive? I can't remember. Westbrook. Yeah, he's more expensive than Westbrook now, so he's $100 more than Westbrook. But the dude's just been a walking triple-double just like Westbrook. No Jamal Murray. The offense is clearly just flowing through him. I can't say don't play him. I won't tell anybody that. He's going to be my third favorite ranked high-priced guy on the slate. But he just makes a whole lot of sense for cash and GPPs. He's just safe all around.
Yeah, I think other people that are listening out there might be higher on him, and that's totally fine. I think I'm higher on at least one other guy, but with Steph Curry. But Jokic he'd probably be my second favorite play of the 10K and over guys. So I love him. I also love some Will Barton at 5,700. He's just been taking on more of an offensive role without Jamal Murray, obviously. I mean, he's hitting those threes and bagging them left and right. Him or Michael Porter Jr. are pretty much bound to go off, and Michael Porter Jr. is about 2K more than him, if I believe, in salary. So I do like some Will Barton at that mid 5K range. And I will also look at, and I'm going to grit my teeth and bite my tongue while I do it, but I'm going to look at Facundo Campazzo at 4,500 just because Monte Morris isn't playing. The guy frustrates. He plays some scrappy defense though, and he's going to get the minutes, and there's no Monte Morris. I mean, there's just no one else to play there. So if he's playing those big minutes, 4,500 is pretty fair. If he's hitting those threes and getting those steals like he can do, then he can hit value there. But not a guy I'm super high on.
Did you happen to catch what the reporter asked John Morant after the last game?
Yeah.
What he thought? Yeah, I think he said, for those who didn't see it, yes, John Morant. He's like, yeah, you had Campazzo guarding all the game. He's like, how would you think of his defense? And Morant kind of looked at the reporter and he said, it was maybe I'm paraphrasing wrong. He's like, what do you mean? I dropped 36 on him
or something like that.
Yeah. I think that says what we need to see. Nonetheless, I think he's better than what he showed against John Morant. John Morant just, pulling like Campazzo, even though he's, pretty new in the league, he's not young. Morant's a little bit more spry than him. But at 4,500, he's going to play 30 plus minutes. He's definitely a play. He's not going to score a whole lot of baskets. He will get hot from deep here and there, but he's mostly going to get it done defensively. He'll get you, he could be one of those guys that gets you anywhere between 2 and 3 steals, chips in 6 or 7 assists, gets a couple boards, scores 10 points. All of a sudden, you're looking at a 30 to 32 point game, and you'd be happy with that at 4,500. That's, to me, probably best case scenario, but he's definitely in play. He'll probably fall in line with Brunson for me. Looking at those two guys, very similar price tags. I think, both pretty comfortable, especially if we see Hardaway out. Brunson, I'd probably lean a little bit more just because I think the ownership would probably be a little bit further away from him. I think a lot more people would go towards Campazzo, just knowing that if they're not spending up in Jokic, they might want to still get some ownership in this game. But we'll have to see. We'll have to kind of check this out and feel how things see how the cookie crumbles, and if Hardaway even gets ruled out. But outside of those two guys, I don't think I'll be going to too much else. I don't argue with Barton though. Well, I guess his former team as well. I believe the Blazers drafted him, if I'm not mistaken.
I couldn't tell you that. But...
Yeah, I think he's played on a few teams by now, but I think the Blazers drafted him. So, I guess there's always that revenge narrative, taking out a little bit more offense with no Murray as well. On the Portland side of things, though, Lillard looking like he's all but out. Probably going to be out. Good chance he's going to be out because I need him in my fantasy league. Year long, playoffs. Why would he play for me? No big deal. But if he sits again, we'll probably just continue to see the same starting lineup with CJ McCollum sliding over the point, Norman Powell playing the 2. And I believe they started Derek Jones Jr. today, but they started Rondé Hollis Jefferson in the game prior, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe you could correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it was Jones Jr. that starting today. But either way, those two guys are splitting up that small forward position with Covington, and then I believe they started Cantor as well tonight. So a little bit of a different scenario. We might see it switched up on the back-to-back where maybe they do a different starting lineup as they test different things. But
it looks like tonight's starters were McCollum, Powell, Anthony, Derek Jones Jr., and Covington. Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Anthony. Boop, go back. McCollum, Powell, Covington, and Jones Jr., and then Cantor at center, as the starters.
Right. Yeah, so a little bit different. The game prior, I believe they actually started Hollis Jefferson after they pretty much signed him off the street, which that always happens to him. But a couple options. We know that we're going to want some exposure. CJ McCollum coming in at 8,800. It's a good matchup. I don't want to say don't play him. I just don't think I'm going to have too many shares. I just don't want to pay 8,800 for CJ McCollum. I feel like his ceiling, it could be 50. It's there, but we're almost kind of like if you're playing him at GPP, you really need that 50. You're not going to be happy with 40, 45 will, wet your whistle, but it's not going to do much more. You really want the 50. So that's all I'm really trying to get right here. I don't think I'm going to go to, Powell's usually the guy I do go to, but at 66, probably won't have too many shares. If we see anything's going on with Nurkic, he sat out this one. They said it's injury management, it's rest, so probably expect him to play. I think I can, if he starts, I'll have some shares of Nurk. At 5,400, he always plays well in this matchup. Believe it or not, this is one thing I remember about DFS, and it's Nurkic loves playing the Nuggets, and he loves going against Jokic because I don't know if these two guys were drafted right around the same time. Originally, Nurkic was going to be their center of the future until he slowly just lost the job to the Joker himself. So now looking in hindsight, that was the right move, but there might be a little grudge involved there. But I could see myself having some shares of Nurkic and GPPs as a complete pivot option. Nobody's going to play him. 5,400, plays 25 minutes. I could see him getting me 38 points in this kind of matchup, having a big game.
I definitely. I see what you're saying there. I've got some interest in McCollum. Obviously, if Lillard's out, that is a steep price tag, but I don't mind it. I think he's just gonna have a ton of usage. I have more interest in Powell? 6,600, like you said, it's still a steep price tag. I'm still interested if Lillard's out. Just a ton of usage just to go trickle down to these guys. The one guy I don't think you did mention, if Lillard is out again, and again, this is only if Lillard's out. If Lillard's playing, maybe I play Lillard, but I don't think I have interest in any of these guys. But if Lillard is out, I do have some interest in Carmelo Anthony, also at 4,300. Just again, usage and shots to go around. Those are the guys I want to snag if they do have shots going around. So, do I land on those guys a lot? Probably not. But Melo might be one of those guys that I used to fill out my roster. And that's about it.
I like that. Good call. Good call on the Melo. Put a little star next to the name. I told you, I always come away with something, Keith. Always. Always. That's not the only nugget I got from it tonight. There's been a few. That one's prominent, though. I kind of like that Melo play.
Yeah, he was the
4,300
first. He was the first one off the bench. He's at, first one off the bench. He's got 5 shots up already. Of course, he's 1 for 5, but that's just Melo.
I should have saw
Melo
that
gonna
coming.
Melo.
That's bound to happen, man. That's always going to happen. But you tried to insert him into that starting lineup. You tried to put six Blazers on the court when you were going through there, and you set up Melo right away. And I was like, he's got to like him. He's trying to get 6 guys on the court for him. He's got to like him tonight. But we got one game left. Minnesota Timberwolves traveling to Sacramento, taking on them Kangs. No game total, no injury report. But there's probably no game total either. But no injury report for either team. No game total for either team.
There is a game total, actually.
Oh, yes.
There is.
Hold on. I'm looking.
Is it not there? Did they take it down? It was there when I looked. I promise.
You tell me what it is.
239 when I looked was the game total. Kings 5-point favorites.
I'm looking. I'm not seeing it. But I'm gonna.
Maybe they pulled it down. I don't know. It was kind of strange to me because they're playing tonight, so I don't know why they would have a game total already. But I guess I don't know.
Yeah, I'll take your word. It's a 239 sounds about right. So yeah, we'll go with that, man. I think that's probably about right. And like you said, these two teams they're playing right now, and it was 237.5, I believe, by the time it closed. So that sounds about right. Looking at the Timberwolves, we're seeing the matchup. Probably going to know pretty much, I guess, what we can expect. I guess the big question mark on this team, and I'm sure a lot of people, when they scroll by his name, they wonder and they think is today the day I could play D'Angelo Russell. Is he going to get the minutes increase? It is a back-to-back at 6,100. Is he in your player pool, or you're just crossing him off?
Oh man, dude, he is 100% in my player pool, and I might just be riding high because I did have some prop bets on him tonight. I had over 17.5 points and over 2.5 3-pointers, and this dude hit it in 9 minutes playing tonight. So I'm pretty high in him at the moment. He's 7 for 9 from the field as we're speaking here. But yeah, I got a lot of interest in him. They just upped his minutes cap to 30. If he's getting 30 minutes of D'Angelo Russell, it is a back-to-back. That's the one concern, so we got to keep an eye on it. But if we're, going to see he's a full go, which I think he should be, because I think for whatever reason the Timberwolves are just bent on playing Towns and all their guys as many minutes as they can, even in a season where they're not winning. Then if we're getting 30 minutes, then yeah, I've got a lot of interest in D'Angelo Russell at 6,100. I've also got some interest though in Anthony Edwards at 7,100, and I had some interest in him tonight as well. Just a great matchup here against the Kings, and that if it's a 239 game total, we gotta think about stacking these kind of games. So playing both those guys is even feasible. Probably won't do it myself, but in a GPP, if you go that route and they both pop off, oh man, you're winning that money. So those are the two guys I'm looking at.
I mean, you just brought like a little. If you can't see it right now, Keith, there's a little tear trickling down my cheek. Anybody that slots up in the shooting guard position or is a pseudo point guard, shooting guard, whatever you want to call it, going against the Kings, I have interest in. It's just one of my rules. I was all over D'Angelo Russell tonight. I wish I did the pod. I just love to target this spot. The one worry is the back-to-back. Obviously, if we get the word that he's playing 30 minutes again, sign me up. 6,100, fantastic matchup. They just have not been able to guard a shooting guard for about 2 years now, and nothing is changing. Halliburton being on the court slightly helps, but it's not altering my decision making when it comes to this. That's probably it. Don't mind Towns if you want to go that route, but at that point, find the extra $600 to play Jokic, in my opinion. But if you want to be contrarian in GPPs, he falls into that range with Luka Doncic, where these guys can just pop off for 60 or 70 every single night. Matchup proof, wouldn't shock me. But I still prefer those other guys slightly more, just a little bit more comfortable floors for me. And that's probably it. I don't see myself going to Rubio too much. You'll probably see a few more minutes if Russell is limited because of the back-to-back, or if Russell's ruled out. And in that case, maybe you could take a stab at him at 48. But that's probably it for me. What about on the Sacramento side of things? Darren Fox, another guy. He's up to 10K now. So what I thought was very, very unique is we have 5 point guards over 10K, 6, 9,900 or more. So a lot of point guards that you can spend up on. And that's kind of where the problem with Fox kind of lies with me. Is that we talked about Curry, we talked about Westbrook, and when these guys are now in a difference of less than a K, the decision becomes a little bit easier for me. So I don't think I end up landing on Fox despite the matchup. The price tag is just too high and too close to those other guys for me. And to be honest, this is a great matchup. I can see myself maybe having some Whiteside just being a point per minute monster. He's starting to even get up there in price tag at 62. We've talked about a bunch of centers. That's probably the only guy I'm really going to be looking at. Don't want to pay that 7K price tag for Hield or Barnes. And Halliburton, it feels like 61 is just right about right. I'd rather see him be like 57, 58, and I'd consider him a little bit more.
Yep, I'm 100% right there with you, Mike.
Aldi is hiring for full and part-time store associates in Powell, Ohio. Aldi is proud to be one of the fastest-growing retailers in the country, and we spend money where it matters on our top-notch employees. When you join our team, you'll enjoy competitive pay, award-winning benefits, training to help build your career, and so much more. Learn more about store associates with a starting wage of $14 in Powell, Ohio, and apply online at careers.aldi.us/Powell Store Job. Welcome to more. Aldi is proud to be an equal opportunity employer.
Yeah, Fox. I've got him here on my player pool list. I think he kind of falls in that same Doncic area where it's like a great GPP pivot because no one's going to be on him, and if you do get on him and he has that big 60-point game, there you go, you got some money. But Hassan Whiteside's the other guy I also have here, 6,200, but only if Holmes sits. Obviously, he'll get those minutes, and like you said, just a points per minute monster. But probably not landing on these guys a whole lot. So same as you.
Samesies. All right. There's probably at least like a couple listeners out there hoping that we never do that again. But that brings us home, my man. That's the 12-game slate. That wrapped it up. That takes us back to the starting line, full circle around the track. But we have our player tiers. We'll start off with the expensive tier. I got to stop being a gentleman because every time I let other people go first, they snag my plays. But I'm still going to be a gentleman, Keith, because I missed you and I didn't get to do it with you last week. So I'll let you dive into this first. Go with your high tier stud.
All right, my high tier stud. I'm gonna go with Paul George, and he's just kind of an easy. I'm going easy here, so I'm gonna give you the harder one. But 9,300 PG. He's a tad less pricey than the 10K and over guys, and no Kawhi Leonard. So he's the only remaining alpha dog in Los Angeles. Actually, both the teams because they have no Anthony Davis or LeBron James right now. So he's the only guy there. He gets kind of a tough matchup in this one, but he's gonna have a ton of usage. So I love playing him.
I just knew that was going to happen, man. I swear. I was like, there's no way. There's no way he's actually going to do it and pick the guy I was going to pick, considering this high price. There's like 11 guys over 10K. He's got to say one of them. No, you went Paul George. It's just because he's an awesome player. So I'm glad that we're both on board with that. It's probably who I would have went with. Otherwise, I'll just take the cop out. I'll go Westbrook. If I'm spending probably 10-9, that's the guy I see myself doing it with the most. And outside of him, I'm not going to give other people. I don't want to make people's life difficult. Curry's a great play though too. Mid-price range now, so we'll say 8K or less, under 8K. We'll go 12 games. I think normally we're at 7,500 or less, but we'll do 8K because there's a nice 12-game slate. Who are you looking at?
Under 8K, I think my top play for the mid tier is probably going to be Kendrick Nunn. Honestly, I just think he's got a solid role even if Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero are playing. If they're not playing, he's got just a huge upside because he's going to just have more of an offensive role, I think. So Kendrick Nunn at 5,300 just seems like you're getting a lot of value there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially if those Heat guys are rolled out, like you said. Really just put on a performance, and he showed confidence here. That's been like the theme, I guess, of this podcast. But I don't know if you've seen those deep threes he was taking against Houston. When he's on there and he's one of those top dogs and everybody else is out, he is not afraid to take that load and just kind of run with it. He's been a high usage guy when he needs to be. So I don't mind taking stabs at him whatsoever. I'm with you. I just want to see those Miami guys rolled out. But for my mid-tier guy, I'm going to just keep it on brand, and I'm going to roll out Isaiah Stewart, 5,600. Keep it on brand, baby. Hopefully some of this. I've been riding this, man. I'm going to keep riding it until the wheels fall off. It's that simple for me. I just see this guy playing at least 25 minutes. I've watched my Mavericks many times this season just get decimated by big rebounding centers. So I could see that happening. It's not been fun to watch, but it's fun to watch when you're targeting the guys in those games in your DFS lineups. So I think I'm just gonna go back to the well on this one. Not as much of a home run as when Plumlee's out. So I'm not going to sit here and play 100% ownership of Isaiah Stewart, but I definitely expect myself to be slightly over the field with him. But looking at the value plays, people under 5K, my friend, where can we go?
So I have, and again, this is going to be. There's a few guys I have on here. You're going to have to look at the delivery tomorrow if you have the DFS pass and take a look at these. But I'm going to put Doug McDermott 3,900 out there, and under the assumption that he plays, because without Miles Turner and Domantas Sabonis, they're going to need some big bodies, and he's going to play the power forward for them. They just simply have no front court. I mean, there's maybe not even any Goga Batazde. So Doug McDermott at the PF position, I like him. He's going to get some marginally higher usage without Sabonis having to contend with him for shots. So that's my value play.
One guy we forgot to mention, and maybe you did and I just spaced out. I can't believe we didn't mention him. And I wish I did. And it's if Dylan Brooks is ruled out, D'Anthony Melton, 4,400. The dude exploded in his first game back after missing, I believe it was 8 or 9 straight games with lower leg soreness. And he played 41 minutes in that game, in that Denver game, and just exploded for 54 DK points. It's only if Dylan Brooks is out. He's been a mystery box as far as rotation and minutes all season long with the Grizzlies. I think that's the best way we could say it. But I feel a little bit more confident. Brooks is out. This dude, he just performs every single time. He's been one of their best plus minus players on the season. 4,400, I think he makes some great value play. But again, we want to see Brooks is out. So I'll give another caveat. And if I'll look at Jalen Brunson, exact same price tag, if Hardaway Jr. is ruled out. So both those guys I have a good amount of interest in at 4,400 if their respective counterparts are ruled out.
Now I have to give you some crap because I stayed away from Daniel Tice because I thought that's who you're gonna grab, man. Come on, where's the Tice love? Where's the Tice love? No, Tice is a great play too, but no, it's okay. We have some good plays anyways.
I love it. You tried to save it. That's a nice guy right there, and I'm a dirtbag. I didn't even pick him. That's it though. You can play some Tice too. Why not? Get them all in there. Get the value. That brings us home. Get 2 studs. That might be the way to go. Stars and scrubs is probably going to be a lot of people's approach on this slate with all that, with the value that we will have 12 games available and with the guys that we can pay for. I imagine that you see most lineups have 2 guys priced over 10K. But brings us home. If you guys have a quick moment, you want to give us a thumbs up, rate, review, 5-star. We really appreciate it. You can find us anywhere: Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Podbean. Wherever you listen to your podcast, we greatly appreciate it. It means the world to us. And like I always say, provide us the feedback. Let us know what you want to hear differently. We want to cater to you guys. We want to produce the best product that we possibly could. And the only way to do that is to hear your feedback. So, and if you want to give us a follow, you can find me at Mikeapotria, MikeApotria. You can find Keith at Ginsberg Beats, G1NSBERG, B3ATS. That's it, my good friend. Anything else you want to let the good people know before we take off out of here?
Negatory. Just come join us with the DFS pass, and let's hang out, let's talk, and make sure we win some money.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget, we do this DFS contest now every Friday. We're just going to make it a Friday thing. It's been 25 people. We're raising it to 30. We're just going to give a little 5 people boost. We had a couple people that wanted to get in it last minute last time and couldn't. So make sure, if you are, it's going to be Friday. You won't see the contest be tweeted out until either late Thursday or early Friday morning, and just reserve your spot. If you want to get in it, but you can't set your lineup till later, reserve your spot, save it, make sure you're in it, and you will be entered. And Keith, were you in the last one?
I was not, but I'm gonna get into this next one for sure. Let's do it.
Absolutely. I got smoked.
Crush everybody. No, I'm just kidding.
I got smoked. So I'm hoping I took second, but I lost by 50. So it was I'm still waiting. I'm still waiting for you to DM me. I have a gift. This is going to be the second time in a row that our winner has won first place, and they're going to get a free gift sent to them from me, and I'm not getting the messages. No one wants their gift. So somebody else win this contest and get this free gift. I got free gifts to give out, and I want to give you guys gifts. Lots of gifts.
I'm coming for it, Mike. Let's do it.
And listen, I think I already said what it would. You probably like it. If you have a favorite, I've been a basketball, sports card, memorabilia guy for years and years and years. I have plenty of memorabilia, autographs, rookie cards, just sweet, serial numbered cards of all different players and teams.
I better get that sweet Scott Burrell autographed.
I got a Scotty Big. I got a couple.
Come on, man, hit me with it.
Funny thing. Before we get out of here, I actually used to be Scott Burrell's bartender as well.
Oh wow.
One of my early 20s jobs. When I was bartending at a bar next to Quinnipiac College. It's a Division I school in Connecticut. They're known for their hockey. Scott Burrell used to be the assistant head coach there before, I believe now it's Mike Dunleavy, his son is the coach there. Used to, after a couple games or something, they'd pop over Gin and tonic type guy. Gin and tonic for Scotty B. But I'll take us home. We'll be back tomorrow. It'll be Santino. It'll be I. We'll be crushing it. Let's go out there. Let's take down some GPPs.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.
Look around you. That car you're driving, that house your family lives in, making your daughter laugh, inspiring her to dream. You did that. Teaching your son to drive, teaching him he can be anything, all you. And your dreams for tomorrow, you'll do that too. Legacies don't just happen, they are made by you. The important word being you. American Family Insurance, protecting your dreams as you achieve them. Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
Products not available in every state. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, American Family Life Insurance Company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.